My name's Lou. Welcome to Reflect Joy. Name pending, but my hope for this channel is that I can endeavor to share some joy, knowledge, experience that I've had in life that you might find fruitful. Plan to keep the videos simple in their production. Hope you find the content worthwhile. Today, I'm talking about 5 material things that actually made a difference in my life when I bought them. Hope you'll stick around for that. Little blooper ahead. Thanks. So, here's a clip of me finding out that I just spent 32 minutes doing this video in a straight shot, and then finding out that my stream for my face cam and audio, which seemed to be tied together, was not saved at the same time. I think that the whole friggin' video where I was supposed to be dual channel recording didn't actually take on the phase. Alright, here we go for take 2. Hopefully I can be as animated and passionate about doing it as the first time. It's an important subject. So what I want to cover today is when we buy things that we think are going to improve our quality of life, make a difference, and improve our lifestyle, whatever it may be. Okay. Oftentimes we tie in these material possessions with capability, or the fact that we're going to go do a thing is because now we own something that empowers us to do it perhaps a little bit better. Okay. Very few times inside of my life have I ever actually bought something that produced any bit of an improved quality of life inside of my own life. And so what I want to cover today is like 5 things that I have acquired that have actually produced some type of a good thing inside of my life. The first on the screen here now is a Blackstone. Okay. So a Blackstone is, it doesn't need to be a brand name necessarily, but a large cast iron griddle. And so there's a few reasons why you want large cast iron and griddle. Okay. I always wanted to be the type of guy that cooked, that was able to cook, that saved money on not having to go out and eat all the time, and was able to eat better and know what was going into my food and such. And then as time has gone on, I've learned that, like, yeah, most everything cooked in restaurants is just a bunch of soybean oil or peanut oil or some other seed oil or something of this nature. Nobody uses tallow anymore, ghee, or, some a nicer restaurant will use butter or something of this nature, but like hardly. And so I made a decision that, like, okay, I want to be him. I want to be the guy that actually cooks inside of in his own life. And like, it's kind of embarrassing that I can't make a steak for myself, right? And so I decided that at some point, my wife and I would get a Blackstone, and I have one now in the backyard that I use constantly. Now mine's hooked up to a gas bib. Thankfully, I have one in the backyard, but like the propane thing is fine, I'm sure. And this has taken me from, like, trying to cook inside of the house was just such a hassle all the time. You bend down, you have to dig through an entire cupboard full of like 30 pots and pans and lids, and none of them fit, and it's a huge problem anyway. And then you take them out and you're dirtying up 2 pans in order to cook a dinner most often, right? If not, more than if you're trying to do something that's like a little bit luxurious or whatever. And then, okay, so they're, let's say that they're non-stick pans. Non-stick pans are like, yeah, kind of non-stick, but like you're still gonna have to go scrub them, and sooner rather than later, because like once it all gets cool and dries, then it's like harder to clean, and so then you're delaying getting to the table with the food if you're gonna clean it, or like eating with the family or whatever. And so what I would always find this, like, I don't want to have to do the dishes. I don't want to have to go digging around for all the materials, and I'm tired of this. And then, I started investigating the the aspects of like all of the chemicals inside of pans, and when it comes to like Teflon specifically, and like all the research that's been done on this and how terrible this is for us. And it's safe as long as it's not scratched. No, no like that's that's probably just a lie, simply enough, as far as I can discern from like any other research. And so what it is that like okay, so like I can't use a nonstick pan because it's poisoning me, and like I'm gonna mess it up at some point, and I'm gonna scour it when I clean it and get some of that stuff in me. So like okay, get rid of the nonstick pan. So a couple of years ago, we're going through Costco and we see the ceramic nonstick pans, and so it's like, but with no Teflon. Okay, great. So we buy them and we use them for like a year and a half or something of this nature. Come to find out that it's the same problem as it is with a, sorry to spoil here a little bit, as it is with like a BPA free bottle. Okay, and if you're not familiar with what this problem is, it is that like BPA is a toxic chemical and it was very ubiquitous in all hard plastics. Okay, so what's the answer to that? Well, BPA is demonstrated to be toxic. So what do? You put BPB in it. It's the same thing. But like because it's not currently on this like known carcinogen list, it's like, yeah, okay, now it's all fine. No, it's not, right? And so what ended up happening is that the same thing happens with like these ceramic nonstick pans is that like, oh, it's not Teflon, but it's Teflon light. Like it's just the same thing essentially that's like put onto these pans. So, okay, now we get rid of the pans. Uh, okay. So then what do we do? Because we can't use nonstick. Well, then you have to use like what is going to be stainless steel or cast iron. And I'm going to break this up into a few clips to make sure that I'm not having to redo 32 minutes again. But to wrap up this section, the issue becomes that like okay, stainless steel has certain advantages and disadvantages, and cast iron the same. I'm going to stick to cast iron for the moment because we're talking about a cast iron griddle. Cast iron inside of the house, and there's some like cast iron heads out there that are like really into this thing, like a cultish level of into using cast iron inside of their home. And like cool, good for you, but like if you can form a near ideology around like the use of cast iron, it's probably too complicated. Like that's the short of it. And it is. And so what ends up happening is that you buy raw cast iron, you have to then season it. And like this process isn't necessarily difficult, but like keeping it clean can be. And so when you go to season it, like don't use a Crisco oil or like another vegetable oil or like some other seed oil or something. Someday I'll get into that. But like just use some tallow or ghee or whatever. I think you can use ghee. I know you can use tallow to season it. But then you have to burn it off. So you need to get the thing like super hot to like burn off, a high smoke point tallow or something of this nature. So you have this really hot thing inside of the house. It's producing a bunch of smoke and like so I'm told like you don't need to do this very often, like 6 months to a year or something of that nature to like reseason your pans. But like my personal experience is not that because what ends up happening is that like inevitably I'm going to mess it up. Like I'm going to hit it too hard with the utensil. I'm going to like put the eggs on too hot or whatever. And like I'm going to have to like scour this pan in order to get it cleaned again because it's not functioning perfectly as nonstick because I did something wrong. And like again, I'm not the cast iron head that like knows how to use it perfectly. So like therefore I'm going to have to reseason the pan again, or whatever it may be. And so then I have to fill my house with smoke again and go through the whole tallow thing and whatever else. And like this is just it's an annoying aspect of like owning cast iron. Um, and again, like somebody may know better than I, but like this is my own personal experience with it. So like what's the advantage of the cast iron on something like this? Well, it's outside. So like you can just throw a bunch of ghee or tallow on it, crank it up to like crazy high heats, rip that stuff off in like smoke points, and then it's seasoned again. Like it's so dummy simple. And then the other thing is that because it's big and flat, you just take a scraper and scrape across the top of it when you're done cooking, and you don't even need to like do any maintenance on it. Like you literally just scrape the crap off of it, and then like you're done. Like no dishes for any of like your cookware. You just scrape at it and it's done. And so like this is like so much easier. This reduces the barrier to cooking so drastically. And now instead of cooking like once every 3 days, I cook like twice a day for my family and I. And so like this was one of those transformative things where like of all of the material things that I buy, like this actually made a difference in the way that I live my life. And it's like $300 for like a large one. And also like think you could be the guy that also like has your mother over for dinner or something of that nature, right? So like you could get the larger one for like the extra $50. So like I recommend to you very highly that you do that, and then you just like when you're cooking for yourself, you just use like the middle two burners or like one of the outside burners. Like it's fine. Just have the capacity to cook for more because like at some point you may want to entertain. You may have family and like this is super awesome for like every Sunday I have like people that I work with and family and whatever else over. And so I'm cooking for 8 every Sunday or something like this. And that is like this is so good for that that I can just like throw on the same volume of ingredients but like toss it around. And so like I can actually cook for 8 and it's no different than like cooking for like 2 or 3. It's just a larger volume of prepped ingredients. And so like this also might make you the type of person to like host a dinner. It just becomes so much easier. So I'm going to jump to next clip here now. Okay. So we seem to be doing all right in terms of technical issue. So, having covered the Blackstone and like the ease of the thing that makes it so that it's actually like feasible to cook. Okay, what about when I'm doing something that does require a pan or a pot, right? Because you're not boiling pasta in this thing, for example, right? Well, the answer to that is probably stainless steel. And so we're going to move on to a set of stainless steel pans, like item number 2, and pots. You can get like a this is I don't know what brand this is. I don't. You can get a set of 3 pans and 3 pots that like share the same 3 lids, so it's like a 9-piece set or something of this nature, a small, medium, and large, and that's sufficient to cook 90% of anything that you're going to need to cook. Like even something somewhat complicated where like you need a separate saucepan and these types of things, fine, you can pull it off with this. My chagrin with the stainless steel is, of course, that it's not coated, and so it's not non-stick. Okay, it is in some ways. So, like, if you get it really hot, you'll see that there's this trick where, like, you get a little bit of water on your hand, you flick it into the pan, and then if it doesn't stick and it starts to bounce around and not steam off, like, what'll happen is that it'll like kind of bounce all around the pan, and it's like it's a cool effect. Like it's a cool thing that that happens. But that pan has to be so hot for that to work. And like I'll do perhaps another video some point like cooking in general, right? But like when you can afford the time, like cooking things for a longer period of time at a lower temperature generally produces a better result. Okay. And so with these really hot pans, you're you might have difficulty cooking certain things, right? Like you'll get a really hard sear on a steak and like it'll look nice and then it'll be friggin' raw in the center. And like I've done this. I've wasted plenty of steak trying to cook inside of a stainless pan. The other thing that you will do, because the pan has to be so hot on average to be non-stick if you're trying to aim for this non-stick window, is that if you ever put something like butter into it or like eggs when it's too hot, but like primarily butter, what ends up happening is that it just browns and then blackens immediately. And not only does it like brown and blacken almost immediately because the pan was too hot when you dropped it in, but then like that stains the pan. And like the pan is like kind of almost ruined. Like it you can't really get it out. And so like I have pans that like I had this experience with that still kind of look crappy because they're like a little bit burnt from like the first time I threw butter in it. You can get around this by like using something that doesn't have like the milk fat solids in it, like ghee, but this is still going to be like a really hot pan, and so like you're going to hit smoke point very quickly on any type of like oils or fats that you're going to put into the pan. And so you need to be cognizant of that. Um, if you're going to cook low, you're going to have to scour the pan. Like you're just going to have to elbow in there and get the stuff off of it after you cook in it. And that sucks, right? This is like the reason that the Blackstone was awesome in the first place. But with this, with a set of these, okay, and like trying to do it appropriately, you can cook 90% of what you need in like a non-toxic way. So just get basic stainless steel stuff to avoid toxicity from like the the green pans for the Teflon or the whatever. It doesn't matter. Just get stainless or go all cast iron if you want to be that guy. But like again, it's like it's almost a cultural commitment to be a cast iron guy. So like a stainless steel pan set will do. Moving on from this, like talking about toxicity, like I in my own personal experience, the best that I can discern when I started eliminating plastics from my life, and there's a myriad of subject to talk about here. Do your own research or wait for me to eventually get around to it. When I started eliminating plastics from my own life, or like greatly reducing the amount of plastic exposure, like my beard started coming in more fully. Like I had such a like significant reaction that like I can say anecdotally maybe I felt a little bit less sluggish and like a few other things, but like I don't have enough data or whatever, right? Like I do feel better probably after eliminating the plastics, and I can very notably say that like yeah, there was something going on with like endocrine system with like the amount of stuff that I was holding on to inside of that. Okay. So like let's say that you want to generally move away from like toxicity and improve your life in like terms of getting rid of the plastics. And so the next couple of things are going to be on this subject. And like these provided a better quality of life for me and they made me more conscientious about what it was that I was putting into my body. The first is like a Pyrex Tupperware set or like food storage container set. And so for many years, all of my childhood and, all the time that I was, living solo or whatever, or for some time while I was, engaged, I had the plastic food storage containers because they're the most common thing. Like, why wouldn't you, right? And this is also a problem with like the takeout containers, which are black, by the way, because of the chemicals from like the electrical wire that's melted down in order to make them, not because they're actually stained black. So like gross stuff is happening and it's being permitted to happen. But like even your home Tupperware sets, like a clear plastic or something of this nature, what's happening is that this thing that your like food is sitting against plastic constantly and that it's leaching out of the plastic container into the food. And so you're getting microplastic exposure through the food sitting in continual contact with it. It's not as bad in like a refrigerated sense, but like most people will take a plastic container out of the fridge and throw it in the microwave because it says it's microwave safe on it. And then it will like melt in essence, at least to some degree on like a surface level, and like leach all the plastic into the food. Plus, they suck anyway, right? Like you throw it in a dishwasher and the thing warps and it bends and it's crummy anyway, and you got to replace it every year. And so instead of spending like $20 on like a set of plasticware food storage, right? Go spend like 60, 80 bucks on like a glassware food storage, like Pyrex is one of the brand names. And then with that, like you have a set of food storage containers that like last decades. Like we used to have products that lasted decades because it was impermissible to have disposable things, right? And so just go buy something real that's like not toxic for you. Okay. The set that I have here has these silicone lids on them. And I have a set of these and it's fine enough. Like it would work just fine, right? You'll navigate it. But what happened is that I also have a set of these. And now I have multiple sets of these to give away the punchline. These have plastic lids on them. Not perhaps ideal, but this snapping and locking mechanism is good, right? And I'm not concerned about like this ambient plastic in the air problem. What I'm concerned about is like long-term contact with plastics where it will actually leach. And so let's say that you have like a little bit of leftovers and you're not sure if it's going to fit into this container. Well, instead of like putting it all in and then smashing and compacting the lid on top of it, which like I'm very inclined to do because it's like, oh yeah, that efficiency. No, don't do that. Like just pick the slightly larger one and like fill it three-quarters of the way. It's fine. You've probably got the space in your fridge if you get rid of the other junk anyway. So you can you can use these containers, and again I like the locking ones to minimize like that continuous plastic exposure. And so combining this with like actually cooking on a Blackstone and using stainless steel pans, like all of this ingrains in you this conscientiousness of like, oh yeah, what I'm putting in my body matters. I want to try to do a little bit better about that. And so like I'm going to make these types of active decisions. And then once you start doing that, like you're going to experience the good from it. Like you will start feeling better when you stop eating a bunch of junk and when you stop eating out all the time at like fast food, Little Caesars, or whatever it may be, right? Like maybe you already got rid of those things and like you're going to start saving money. And then it's like after a month of cooking at home, you're like, wow, I didn't realize that like I have $600 spare in my budget every month or whatever from not spending. It's like it's a very basic thing that's like super transformative. And so I recommend these. I'll jump to the next thing here in a moment. All right. So coming back into it, having covered the Blackstone, the pans, and some decent Tupperware or food storage containers. The next thing that I want to touch on is going to be stainless steel drinking containers. And so, for the fun of it, here's a Stanley, right? Drinking consistently out of stainless steel is probably going to be your best bet. Okay. Now, like when we're looking at trying to be conscientious about what we're putting into our bodies, what we're being exposed to inside of this, there's some limitations. One, it's got a plastic cap, but like that's nominal again, right? I'm not going to get you to 0% plastics inside of your life, but like this is a start, okay? My wife, for example, has like bought glass straws that replace like the plastic ones. Now, do I still sometimes use the plastic one? Yeah, but like that does somewhat defeat the purpose. So like I try to use a glass one, but like sometimes the glass one needs to get washed or something of that nature, and I need to leave. So whatever. But like a stainless steel canteen is good. This is great for like around the house or around the office or something of this nature. Ideally, your water is probably from like an RO system. I mean, even more ideally than this is like spring water or something of this nature. But again, the delivery method is usually filled with plastic or whatever. So, like, an RO system is probably going to be your best bet. You can get real nerdy with this and go do a bunch of research about, like, if you wanted to filter the water and demineralize and remineralize and whatever else, it's like too much. Like an RO is nice. Maybe you can get a countertop set one. I'm not certain on that, right? But like if you have one at the sink, like just use it or use like the filtered water from the fridge if that's like the best that you got, right? And like actually replace that water filter. Don't just like pop it out and put it back in over and over again to make it stop beeping at you. Like go do the thing. Um, but like this is good in terms of like being able to just stop drinking out of plastic all the time. Okay, so this replaces all your plastic water bottles, and it's going to be cheaper than like buying water bottles in the first place. Um, this comes back to the like avoid this hard plastic water bottle because this BPA is simply now replaced with BPB. And so you're not fixing the problem. Like all of these are leaching, all of them are causing problems. I've got a pretty good line on this, right? So like hopefully big plastic doesn't come after me, but whatever. Now, okay, Lou, great for around the office or whatever, but like I'm out in the field, I got some stuff to do. Okay, get a big one. It's like it. This isn't a not navigable problem. You can figure this out. Okay, so like this is Yetis are stupid expensive because it's like hype beast friggin' gear or something. But like Stanley makes like a similar one that's like a half gallon or like three-quarter gallon or whatever, right? So like go use this. Yeah, ignore that. Go get like a big one, and like these actually make a difference. Now it's not that you can get like some of the little like stainless steel canteens as well, just like a multi-pack off of Amazon or something of that nature. Be mindful that some of these are still lined with plastic for some unknown reason. Okay, so like just make sure that it's just stainless steel. So that's easy enough. So put your coffee and tea inside of that. Use this for like drinks around the house or whatever. Use this if you've got like real work to go do or like you're going out for a sporting event, right? Like if you play, flag football in the park on Saturdays or whatever, right? Or like, you're gonna tumble for jujitsu. I don't, whatever. You can get a big jug of water for like when you need to drink like a half gallon to a gallon at a time. And like if you're the type of person that's like, oh yeah, I'm playing soccer for 3 hours, I need 2 gallons of water. It's like, well then buy three of them. I don't know what to tell you, right? But like it's better than having your like semi hard plastics leaching into your water all the time. Um, Now the other thing to be mindful of is that like aluminum cans are not aluminum cans, because then all of your drinks would taste like aluminum. Like we know what aluminum tastes like in general, most people do. And like somehow our Coca-Cola doesn't taste like aluminum. How is that and why is that? Well, it's the modern marvel of plastic lined aluminum cans. And so like the inside of all aluminum cans has a plastic lining on it. And what you have is like a generally acidic material sitting against plastic for months, if not years, before consumption. And so you get this leaching. So like you can't drink things out of cans if you're going down this route. And so like just start making coffee at home, right? And like I'll get more into a plastics thing on like a full video, but like use a stainless steel percolator or like a Chemex for your coffee or like a French press, right? Dead simple stuff. Get a stainless steel tea kettle. You're done. Like you don't need to make the impediment that large. It's actually pretty easy to eliminate like the gross majority of what is like your chemical exposure. Once you have like just a handful of things. And like that's the purposefulness of this video, is that there's only been like a few things that I've ever bought that have actually made somewhat of a difference. And like these are those types of things. So transitioning now off of and away from like all of the food stuff and the elimination of the plastics, and I hope that you'll take the concept forward from like food and elimination of plastics, and like that it's possible and feasible that like when you throw away all the plastic stuff and you only have stainless stuff, like obviously it's going to work better for you, right? But you can apply this into other aspects of life. And the main one that I want to bring up is like working out. So when we're looking at this, like we can almost all universally say that like yeah, I'd like to work out a little bit more, I'd like to be a little bit more fit or a little bit more capable or a little stronger or less prone to injury, right? Like just basic levels of health that are required from us. Okay, so like I did this was kind of like, this isn't my garage, this is some guy's garage, but like I did something close to this. I used to have like a home gym that, like before my father moved in. And what happened was I had gotten I used to ride bikes a lot, still do from time to time. And so I had gotten a standing bike. My wife likes ellipticals from like back when we used to go to the gym together for like, 2 months before like we wasted the other 10 months of like a membership or whatever. And I had a crunching machine, like an ab crunch machine, mainly because it was like $20 on like, Facebook Marketplace or something of this nature. So I had all of this equipment. I had some like maybe some free weights, but I had also gotten, as pictured here, some like mats for the room and other accoutrement that goes with like having a home gym. And so like I spent all this money, and then what ended up happening, I only got on the standing bike, and I only did for a little while anyway. And then like I end up, now it's all in the garage anyway because like I had to move it out so that like my father could come in or whatever. Um, and so I wanted to get back into like a consistent workout routine, right? But like I knew that it wasn't like as simple as like pulling the bike out or something of this nature. Um, like I have these assets or whatever, but like I don't also just want to only ride a standing bike. Like, yeah, sure, it's great for my quads and calves and you know glutes and these types of things, but like that's it. And it's some cardio, sure, but like okay, what you probably need, you like anybody watching this video, is probably like two kettlebells. Like after that, most everything's probably superfluous for anything that you need in order to like get fit in the first place, because you can do, like 70% of muscle groups plus on just like standing with two kettlebells or like squatting with two kettlebells or whatever it is. The bench, like if you get a bench, it'll give you like the other 30% of muscle groups that you might want to get into. Okay. So the reason that I say this is that like don't make it contingent that you need mats. You need a dedicated space for it. You need multiple sets of weights for the kettlebells, you need a bench, you need whatever, right? Like all of these things are you creating barriers and impediments that are just completely unnecessary for you to actually go engage with the activity. Like, if you're the guy that doesn't work out right now or the gal that doesn't work out right now, like, this doesn't change unless you start being the person that starts working out. So, like, do the minimum requirement in order to start engaging with the activity, build the habit of doing it. And then when you're like, yeah, okay, I've done this every single day, or like, the 3 or 4 times a week that I want to do it for like a month or 2 months or something. And then now, okay, I'll buy a bench because like the difference between me starting like today on being able to build my pecs and like the difference from like a month from now is not substantial, right? But like demonstrate to yourself that like you're going to go engage with the activity and like make it a low effort investment to like go do the thing. And so for me, like my answer was a rowing machine. I just want like enough functional strength so that I can like roughhouse with my kid in a pool in 10 years, right? Like, and not throw my back out as like a 40 something. Okay. So like when I needed, I did a modicum of research, right? I didn't allow an analysis paralysis. I like thought of a handful of things, and then like within a half an hour, I made a decision that like, oh yeah, rowing machine's sufficient. Like it does shoulders a little bit, it does arms a bit, it does back well, it does a little bit of core, it does a little bit of chest, but like I don't need some, big pecs to flex at my wife or something, right? Like as long as I have functional strength, I'm gonna be okay. And so, and it also does legs. So because it's like this whole body engagement workout, and it's just like a crummy machine from Amazon from like a Black Friday sale or whatever. So it's like a $300 machine on sale for like $200 because nobody would buy it at $300, right? And like, is it awesome? No, right? But like, I can adjust the tension on it, and I can turn it into something that like I can feel the muscle engagement and I can feel the the burn and the muscle tear and these types of things over like a 10 or 15-minute workout, and I can also turn it down and use it as something approximating a cardio machine to do over a longer period of time. And so I have all of this in one device that cost me like $200. I didn't pull mats out for it. I just put it on the floor, and like my wife and I now use it with enough consistency. Maybe I could be more consistent about it, but like because I'm not so consistent about it, I haven't gone out and bought like a $1,200 rowing machine, though like this one's insufficient. Like once I demonstrate to myself that I am consistent enough, it's like okay, then I'll start saving for that thing, or I'll consider getting it. And so this is to tell you that like don't let I'm going to start rowing. I need the ABC rower 3 from, whatever company, and then like okay, but that's like $1,500. Don't do that. Like demonstrate to yourself that you can go engage with the activity first and then like get something better maybe later down the line. Because worst case scenario, you're going to sell the thing that you bought on like OfferUp or whatever and find stuff on like OfferUp and Facebook Marketplace. Like the thing doesn't need to be new. It's just for you to get on it, right? Or for you to use it. So like go buy your kettlebells used. Like it didn't lose weight, right? Like the utility of the thing. Like avoid the vanity of like buying the thing new if you don't have to, right? Um, and then like from there, now that you've demonstrated to yourself that you're capable of engaging with the activity, then yeah, maybe you become the guy that like actually uses all of the equipment inside of a home gym like this, and like good on you, right? But like don't let that setup be the impediment that like stops you from saying like I don't have the means to do that right now, like you do, right? Like you could figure it out on just calisthenics alone if you're like one of those force of will type of people. I'm not. And so like I need to play to like that fault that I'm not that guy that's going to be able to just like I'll do like 10 push-ups today and then like 11 tomorrow and 12 the next day until I can do like 200. It's like yeah, okay, you could figure it out. But like also, if you're going to make a prudent decision on something to buy, like a singular machine that's like going to engage your body in the way that you want to build that functional strength, like this was actually something that was like an improvement of quality of life for me. And so I hope that that's an example that like you can draw out into other things in your life, that like doesn't have to be the perfect thing, doesn't have to be the big thing, it doesn't have to be the real nice thing. And also I probably shouldn't commit for like a huge amount of finances into a thing and like make it contingent upon myself. Like this goes back to the last video. Like I'm not doing this well. Like I've had this Yeti mic for like a decade and the webcam is garbage. But like I'm not going to make that contingent upon me actually getting content out that I think might help somebody. So I do hope that you found this encouragement of like good engagement with material things. If you did, consider leaving a like. If you have something you'd like an outside thought about, feel free to leave it in the comments below and I may share a future reflection on it. As a new channel, every subscription is greatly appreciated. Be well, and make good choices, friends.